What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the channel. Now, I normally don't do Madden updates or game updates or things on this channel, mostly just gameplay, actual video gaming. And I wanted to give you guys this little update, kind of my thoughts on this scouting update that Madden just gave us through their Twitter account. Now it's on their website here, linked from the Twitter account. And I wanted to give you guys some kind of my thoughts here because it does affect us and how the channels run, how our series are run. Now, I know with our Giants franchise, you're not going to get the scouting update until you actually start a new one, which is kind of was my intention with this scouting update. Once it was releasing, I was going to launch another series that would kind of run side by side with what we're doing with the Giants. Because as you know, the older franchises that you've run when you first bought the game are not going to have this update, even if you download the update or the update's applied. It doesn't apply to old franchise save files. Anyway, point being, I wanted to give you guys this update because I wanted you to know kind of my thoughts behind this and my concerns about the actual feature. But first things first, as you know by now, the feature is being pushed out to mid-October, which it's kind of just classic EA, right? It's just classic EA. Overpromise, underdeliver. That's kind of like the mantra. That's the motto that we've come to know about EA. And I feel like this knee-jerk reaction here was that they're kind of hiding behind this statement right here. We're taking the time to ensure scouting is polished. Well, that would make sense if you guys didn't release a game this year. Maybe you just don't release a game for 22. Maybe you actually release a game for 2023. Maybe that would give you guys enough time to actually make sure that the game is polished versus just a feature. So I just find that this is kind of a weird statement to make when they should know that their game is broke. The game is not polished. So maybe you guys should take the time to make sure that the game is actually polished. Because right now, it's broke. It's broken. No updates yet on like how franchise games and the statistics not being corrected. That hasn't been updated. It hasn't been updated at all. So it's kind of a weird thing to say, in my opinion. And the knee-jerk reaction here is that, again, overpromise, underdeliver for EA, common theme for them. Now, I've seen conflicting things on Twitter saying that, well, Goldie, they didn't say September. They didn't say for sure it was going to be in September. I would argue that they did. They did say that. They marketed this feature to us. They sold us this feature. They sold us the game saying franchise updates were coming. And here they are. And we're looking at September as the launch date for this feature. 17 days into this month, we don't have it. 17 days into this month, we get an update. It's being pushed back another month into mid-October. And the thing is it's not the consumer's fault. It's not our fault. It's not people's fault who are a little peeved by this. At the end of the day, it's a video game, right? It's not that big of a deal. But at some point, it's money that we've spent, it's money that we've invested as a consumer, that we were told September. The question mark and the indecisiveness came from EA's side of things when they said, we just don't know when in September. Could be the first week, could be the last week. We don't know. And then now here we are in the 17th day of September, and they're telling us that it's being pushed back to mid-October. And in my opinion, what does their word even mean at that point? Mid-October, when you guys said September at some point. So it is a little frustrating to see that this is how that they're operating. And again, you could go down the pathway, and it's easy for us to do that because we're not sitting behind those desks. We're not sitting behind that computer screen at EA. We don't really know what's going on back there. So it's easy for us to say, well, you guys had 2 months to work on it. Yeah, you guys had 2 months to make sure that it was polished. And in some senses, I would throw EA the bone on that because I don't know what's going on back there. But I would also say that I still hold to the frustration level that I have because as a company and as someone who works and serves members at my place of work, at my workplace, even if you take the stance of you're trying to tell your boss that you're giving them a deadline of when your report is due or when your presentation is due, even if you guys that are in college, there's deadlines. that you set. And if you're not meeting the deadlines, you fail. There isn't much wiggle room for that. We didn't set the expectation. The consumers did not set the expectation. EA did. EA marketed the product. EA marketed the feature. EA sold us the feature that it was coming in September. Here you go. Here it is. Nicely packaged. Here's how it works. Here's the update. Do you like it? Cool. Buy our game. And we did. August, the game releases. You've got time to make sure that this feature is polished. And I understand the PR battle at this point, right? So let's say that they do rush the feature out and it doesn't work. People get pissed off. But what's the cost of that? Would you rather keep your word that it's coming in September, or would you rather hide behind this and say that we're just making sure that it's polished and it's coming in mid-October? How do we know that you even were working on it? We don't know. We don't know, and that's the problem. That's the problem. So having said all that, I do appreciate this kind of walkthrough that EA gave us about the scouting deep dive, but in the same token, like this breakdown of the different phases of the scouting update, which is kind of cool. What the percentages are, right? Every 10% you get one attribute revealed. I think that that's cool. They give you a walkthrough with my team, the Detroit Lions, talking about and giving you screenshots and talking about how the whole feature works. So in a sense, you're kind of getting an idea, you're kind of playing with it, right? But you're not. We're just looking at what EA did with it. But by all accounts, it looks like it's working pretty well, because the Lions, they're going to need a wide receiver, they're going to need a quarterback, left tackle. I don't know much about left tackle, why they would be mocked as trying to get a left tackle. Decker, Sewell, that doesn't make too much sense to me. One thing that I have a concern about this feature, now that my frustrations are left out of this, how do custom prospects work with this feature? Because as you know, that have messed around with classes, if you guys go into the scouting portion of the game and you start editing players, you start editing ratings and dev traits, and you start moving people up and down, the draft stories tend to stop. Draft stories don't happen anymore. And is the draft stories integral to how this scouting update works? Like when players move up and down the boards, is that movement up and down the boards based on the draft stories? And once you've now edited each CPU generated player, you've now tinkered with the class, is that feature going to break? How do we know for sure that feature is going to break? That's something that I would be trying to figure out in my testing if I was an employee at EA. Because I know for a fact that people love to make their own players in their own franchise modes. Not just for series on YouTube, but in general. You like to create your own players and see what they're going to do. It would be really cool if those created players had stories applied to them. That'd be also kind of cool, but as we know, that's not the way that it works. You go to draft stories, they tend to stop at that point once you start editing with the class. So that's a big concern that I have with the feature. Editing players, are they going to be able to move up and down at that point, or are they just kind of stay flat? No draft stories are had. But it is kind of sweet to see that they gave you a walkthrough here to let you know how the mode is and how the feature is actually going to work, which is pretty cool. I appreciate that. So despite EA kind of dropping the ball, in my opinion, with the feature coming out in September and keeping their promise, what can I really do as a consumer at this point other than just trust them, right? Because that's literally all I can do. That's all we can do is just sit here and wait. That's it. The ball's literally in their court with the feature, and if they say they need more time to work on it, I guess that's the reality of it. I guess that's all we need to know. I guess we don't need to know that they weren't working on it, or I guess we don't need to know that it was put on the back burner because we had some glitches and things that we needed to take care of for the MUT community. We don't know. We have no idea. But either way, coming out in mid-October, it looks like a pretty good feature in my opinion, at least on the initial surface. making it look really sweet through the walkthrough. Pretty cool, but in typical EA fashion, I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit too and understand they might not be telling us the whole story, that it actually might have some issues like with mock drafts, player movement, custom players being created, ruining the class. I don't know. Ruining the feature. I don't know how it's all going to work. I don't know what else they need to test, in my opinion. But love to know your thoughts. Leave them in the comment section below. And I will look forward to seeing you guys in another video. Again, I don't do much of these. If you're coming to this channel thinking that I provide a lot of opinion pieces on gaming companies and keep you up to date on that stuff, that's not kind of the style. But I really wanted to let you guys know that are here kind of how this applies to franchise modes in the future, franchise series in the future. Once the Giants franchise ends, I was thinking about doing another series at some point with another team, but you know, we'll see how this scouting feature turns out. If we can't do custom players, if it just totally breaks the game, then custom players are just not going to be a thing in this new series. That would really suck, because I know that we love to do custom players here on this channel. But this is really a main reason why I wanted to bring this video here to you guys and let you kind of know what my thoughts were. So guys, leave a like if you like this thing. I'll see you in the next one. As always, thanks for watching, and peace.